Ladies and gentlemen, for your viewing pleasure, I shall now make this duck disappear. Ta-da! I know, you're all amazed. It's great. I'm here all week.
How did you do that?
Oh, it's quite simple, really. I used Sorcery! Sorcery is a game that came out in multiple formats at the same time and showed how the early days of home computing were going to properly handle action puzzlers. There are several ways to kill each enemy, and you can go through the game in multiple ways. You don't have to follow one set pattern, which was a very different approach to games than what I played before I got my hands on this one. You play as a sorcerer. You can tell this because you're wearing a dress and a cone on your head. Oh, and you can fly, and you're tasked with rescuing your fellow sorcerers from a necromancer. Apparently, he's one of those Bond villain-style necromancers though, because he's dotted the sorcerers around an area that is chock full of dangerous creatures, and he's not bothering to check on them. That's good villain in there, son. So anyway, you're free to wander around the area, picking up various items that will help you rescue the other sorcerers from their various prisons. Each sorcerer is locked behind a door that requires one of several random pieces of crap to unlock it, just like all the other locked doors you'll find in this game. It's so random, in fact, that you'll be forgiven for thinking a point-and-click adventure game writer thought up these locks. Look, here's a trap that's unlocked using a bottle. And here's a big wooden door that's unlocked with a fleur-de-lis. This game makes no sense. I mean, take a look at this. I rescued this sorcerer using a glass of wine. Wine! To unlock a door! What did I do? Dissolve it? How strong is this wine? Defeating a monster makes a little bit more sense. Well, for some of the monsters anyway. The hooded guy with a dagger can be defeated with a sword. That's pretty good. And the floating eyeball thing can be defeated using a mace, because apparently that's the best way to defeat an eyeball. Although to be honest with you, most things can defeat an eyeball. They're not exactly the most sturdy of structures. Some of the monsters are a little bit stranger, however. Here's a ghost being taken out with an axe I found lodged in some wood. I doubt chopping a ghost up with an axe ever occurred to the Ghostbusters, but maybe if it did, the game wouldn't have sucked so much. Oh, and everything can be killed with a bag of spells or a shooting star. Now those are very good weapons, but you're going to want to limit their use to when you need to clear a room fast, because there aren't many of those super weapons lying around. Now we've looked at three versions here, the CPC, the C64 and the Spectrum versions, and out of those three, the Spectrum definitely came off the worst. The game runs quickly, I'll grant you that, and for the most part it looks pretty good, but I just couldn't get a handle on the controls. Look at this title screen. It's asking you to press Q to move left, and A, the key that's directly below Q, to move right. That's really weird, guys. What's more, you press 0 to fly, and if there's a key for picking up items, I can't find it. Now this may well be me just not knowing the game all that well on the Spectrum, but guys, if you're going to explain the keys, please explain them all, because I guarantee that there's not enough to this game to warrant me spending a lot of time doing trial and error just to find out how to pick up an item. I died more times than I care to count, just pressing random keys in the hope of picking up the item on the very first screen in the game. It's ridiculous. And why are the item sprites so small anyway? The character is large, the monsters are large, the platforms are large, but the items and the doors are tiny. What's my character doing? Shrinking like Alice in Wonderland just to get through a door?
Oh, I thought my waistline would reduce in size or something. Oh. How do I get back to my normal size? There's a cake or something, isn't it? I really didn't think this through, did I?
I looked through the instructions for the game from the inlay, and they are no help whatsoever. Using the wrong item at Stonehenge will result in your death? Lovely! The inlay didn't mention any key for picking up or using items, so I went back to poking and prodding things with the character, and eventually I got it to work. I suppose trial and error gameplay is one way of prolonging the game's lifespan. Now it turns out that you just need to come into contact with an item from the right direction to pick it up. Yeah, great, lovely. And that explains an awful lot about why I didn't seem to be able to pick it up when I was on the first screen of the game, because I was coming at it from slightly the wrong direction. Guys, that's not going to make me want to play the game. And similarly, to use an item, you just have to touch the thing that you want to use it on. But that's not good gameplay either, because I'll tell you this, there are several points while I was playing through the Spectrum version where I came into contact with a monster and I had an item in my inventory that would kill the monster. And instantly, it killed that monster. Lovely, you might think. But when you're trying to avoid that particular monster so you can go to another screen and kill the same monster there, which is causing you problems, now you don't have the item anymore. That's the problem I have with this. You should be able to decide when and where to use items, and you can't on the Spectrum. Why couldn't they just put in a fire button like they did on all the other versions? I mean, surely it's not that hard. The Commodore 64 version fared a lot better. This version has nice, bold graphics and good controls. I can actually move around this one and pick things up too. That's a big improvement right there, actually being able to play the game. I know, a game you can actually play? It's a massive shock. This is actually a really good version of the game. I mean, yeah, sure, it seems a lot smaller than the version I played when I was a kid, but it's still a lot of fun. Even if it does include a suitcase that really feels out of place in a magical setting, and a trapdoor that gets unlocked using a club. A club that you can beat ghosts to death with. Still, I suppose that's not as weird as rescuing a sorcerer using a glass of wine. Sorry game, you're never going to live that one down. The music on the C64 version is pretty good too. It's very bass heavy and it's nice to have some music on the title screen, which the Spectrum version is sorely lacking. It's not the best theme tune I've ever heard for a Commodore game, but it's not bad. The instructions flow across the screen very slowly while your sorcerer does his best Pac-Man impression. The plot of the game is the same as the Spectrum: rescue your fellow sorcerers and place the right item on the altar at Stonehenge. So far, so good. Graphically, the C64 version is quite nice. Musically, it's not bad either. So all in all, it's a pretty good game. Now at this point, C64 fans are going to hate me, because here's the thing. The Commodore version is not the best version of this game, not by a long shot. That title goes to this version. Sorcery Plus, the Amstrad CPC-exclusive version that Amsoft got Virgin Games to make in order to show off the CPC's capabilities. This version is disc only, it's joystick only. It can be a pain in the arse at times because it loads every single screen off disc, but at the same time, it's fantastic. Just listen to that tune. It's far less bass heavy than the C64 version, and as a result, it sounds jaunty as hell. I love it. Look at the colours, it's bright, it looks like a comic, it's great. Gameplay-wise, it's very similar to the C64 version. The sprites look very similar, to the point where I'd say the CPC and C64 sprites are pretty much straight ports of one another. But where this version wins out over the C64, and even the original CPC release on cassette, because yes, there is an original CPC version that looks very similar, is that this version has more locations. It's a much bigger game, and it has a lot more polish to it. When Amstrad got Virgin Games and the Gang of Five to take another shot at this game, what they did was they added in extra locations and changed the ending. Now instead of just putting an item on Stonehenge, you have a boss fight with the Necromancer. I can't show you that, however, because I can't get that far in the game anymore. It's one of those things, it's quite a frustrating game at times, and while as a child I was able to sit there and just plough through and get past all the little problems, these days as an adult, I look at it and think, I just don't have the time anymore. I don't have the time to sit here and try again and again and again on the frustrating points in order to get past, just to show you a screen at the end. First of all, your health goes down too fast. Whenever a creature touches you, your health plummets, and keeps plummeting until either you die or you get away. It's possible to die within seconds of touching an enemy, so this game ends up being a frenetic race across the screen to either reach a door to safety or to reach a weapon to kill the baddie with. If you fail in either of these, and it doesn't take much to fail, you die and have to start again. Next, there's the water. Whenever you're not pushing up on the joystick or pressing the fly button on the Spectrum version, you plummet to the ground. You can't float in this game, which means you have to keep flying up then dropping down if you need to get past blocked areas on the screen. If you accidentally touch water while trying to get past one of the blockages, you die. If you accidentally touch water while trying to avoid a monster, you die. If 1 pixel of your sprite comes into contact with 1 pixel of water, you die. Basically, sorcerers in this game have the same affiliation to water as the Wicked Witch of the West. I'm melting! I'm melting! I'm melting! Which makes it all the more questionable that you rescue a sorcerer using a glass of wine. Next, there's the time limit. Yes, this game has a time limit, even though it's actually remarkably short. If you ever look it up on YouTube, there are run-throughs that are under 10 minutes long. But to hurry you along a little anyway, the game has a timer. Do you see that little book in the bottom right corner of the CPC version? That's the timer. And once the book is all dissolved away, you lose the game. On the Commodore version, the book is replaced with an image of the Necromancer at Stonehenge, which is a lot more fitting given the plot of the game. I'm not sure why they changed it, to be honest. Speaking of the Commodore version though, look how fast this timer runs down. Good grief, you really need to get your skates on if you want to finish this version. It's absolutely ridiculous. So yeah, it's quite a frustrating game, but here's the thing. I keep coming back to it. Despite its annoyances, and there are many annoyances, I still keep coming back to it. It's great. I've been playing this for almost 20 years now, and it's still as much fun now as it was back then, despite all its quirks. The best version has to be Sorcery Plus on the Amstrad CPC, I'm sorry. It's got the most polish, it's got the best ending, it's basically the best version. But whichever one you get, the CPC, original CPC, Commodore 64 version, any of them, they're really good games and you'll have a lot of fun playing them. Just don't go for the Spectrum version. It really feels like it was rushed, and as a result it's quite spoiled. But anyway, that's really all I've got time for this week, so thank you very much for watching. I hope you did like this, and if you did, remember to click the like button, share it with your friends so they know a good game when they see it, and do subscribe for future videos because there will be more in the future. But until next time, I've been Kirk-Robinson, you've been watching GameHammer, and I'll see you next time.